Hello and welcome back to Master Gardening. I'm your host, Bud Qualk, and we're going to talk about fall gardening today. Pumpkins, mums, squash, gourds, corn, you name it. So be right back. Gardeners, we're here today at Pat Englert's farm. We're going to talk about fall gardening. We're talking about Halloween, Thanksgiving, pumpkins, gourds, pansies, ornamental corn, and of course, mums. This is your specialty, isn't it, Pat?
Yes, it is.
And you've got a few of them here, it looks like.
Got
right?
5,000 this year.
Okay, yeah, it's cool. Tammy doesn't like it when it's cool, but it's cool. Like I said, last week it was 89, it's 60 today. High, I think it's 67, and that's what everybody starts thinking about Halloween and
That's right.
and Thanksgiving, and this is your favorite time of the year,
yes,
right?
It is. Yes.
Because this is the kind of things you do. We're here at the farm, and he's got pumpkins, he's got pansies. I don't think you grow the pansies yourself,
No,
though, but they're beautiful. And you got the gourds, and you do the corn yourself.
Indian corn, straw. We've got it all.
Okay, well, let's talk. We're down here in the mum field. Let's talk about the mums first. This doesn't happen overnight. When you start working?
We started planting our mums June the 1st. From there, we hand water for about a month. Fertilize,
is that what these watering
pinch.
lines here are?
Yeah, this is an automatic system here. We'll lay this, when we go to the field with them, we'll lay this water line in here, and that's its lifeline right there.
You only water once a month?
Oh gosh, no, we water every day,
Every day?
in most conditions. Now this summer we've watered quite a bit less.
So you're hooked up to the city water line, are you?
No, not hardly. It takes about, right now it takes about 2,000 gallons a day, and we get that from a water well, so we've got plenty of water.
You start in June, so it's going to get dry pretty quick. July and August, a lot of times we don't have any water at all. This year's been a little different. We've almost flooded them out. I've seen some plants here that look like they've had a little bit too much.
We've had.
Yeah. You buy the little seedling?
Yes,
cuttings,
we buy a single stem cutting. It looks
that little, huh?
very much like this when we start. It has a little ball of dirt on it, or it's ball of dirt roots, and then we stick this directly into the pot, water it in, start fertilizing immediately. Watch it grow. We like for them to grow about 40% a week. That's
so about 3 months. It goes from there to here.
Exactly.
3 months.
Yep.
You use some super fertilizer on it?
Good stuff.
Good stuff. They don't sell it down here on the corner?
No, they don't. No, they don't. We use a commercial grade of Peter's fertilizer.
Yeah.
And it's
probably a lot
very
more
satisfied
expensive
with
than
it.
our 10-10-10 that I use.
Oh yeah. It's a water soluble, and we inject that in our water, and it goes right to the plant.
So what if I wanted to do something like this? You know, I had a bunch of these, and in the spring, of course, I'd have to start earlier because I don't have that super fertilizer. Can I take something like that and put it? Will it root in water? Will it root in if you put it in soil? Do you know? Like a lot of other things do, or
yeah,
not?
mums are very photo responsive. They'll root quick. However, though, as a grower, these varieties are patented, so we're not allowed to do this as a grower. I can't do it.
Okay.
So.
But the old type mums you find around your grandmother's house, you want to take a cutting?
I would say you'd be safe to do that.
Okay.
They're very responsive. You probably get roots in 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. So you wouldn't want to do one of these hybrids because there's a sheriff out there, a mum sheriff.
Yeah, patent police. That's right.
Patent police,
yeah,
is there really? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. They're keeping an eye on you probably specifically.
Sure.
Yeah.
They keep an eye on growers.
Yeah. Okay.
And then every plant every pot we put a plant in. We put a tag in it that tells the variety.
Is there one in there?
Sure, it is. I just broke it off, and this is a Janus variety, yellow. Yellow is the most popular color.
Some of the other colors sometimes fade sometimes to do other things, but the
Sure.
yellow and the white. Is white not a good color too?
White is not as popular as the yellows, but white's a good seller.
This, I know some people like this and some people don't. I suggest you do it, but boy, that's a beautiful one there, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
it's got
perfect.
a healthy root system, a lot of white roots. It's all bound together, so
Yeah.
you feel how warm that is.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh, I'll tell you what, it's nothing worse than getting home with a 5-gallon pot and pulling out a 2-gallon plant
Exactly,
out of it.
exactly.
But now you know you've really got something with this.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a healthy root system.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. You may not want to do it in front of the guy that owns the nursery, but I suggest doing it.
Yeah, and be careful doing it, you know, so you don't
you don't
damage
want to
the
knock
plant.
everything off there. Yeah, you might have
break
break
the
it, you
break
buy
the
it.
foliage.
You break it, you buy it. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, what else? How come there's so many blooms on here? You do something special, and I know about the pulling the buds and what have you.
Used to we pinched mums 3 times a season. The first pinch is
what you just did was pinching, right?
Yeah, exactly. The first pinch is not much. You know, you just come in here and pinch that top off, and that starts growth at these where the leaves come on at the axis. And used to we look for try to get 7 shoots to come off of this one, and then pinch it again and get 7 off of there, and then from there it takes care of itself.
Okay, the first pinching doesn't take as much time, but then the next pinching.
Oh no, I can do 2, 3, 4,000 very quick.
Yeah, but then after
just,
that, then get 7 for each one. Then and
yeah, it's more
time
time consuming. And then years ago when we did pinch, we went to shears, and we just shear this plant like that, like you were shearing a sheep or something.
Well, that's what I do. I'm lazy. Well, I've really got my time's too valuable, but I've got a bunch of mums that, like I told you earlier before we started the show, that have come up year after year after year, and if I went and pinched each one of those, it'd take me days. So I just take those big scissors and I whack them off.
Right, nothing wrong with that.
It looks like heck for a couple of days, but then
It starts growing
recover.
out. They grow
can't hardly
very
kill
quick.
them. Yeah. Well, great. Well, let's go up and look at some of the other things you've got that you grow. The pumpkins and the gourds and things like that. Pat, you've got a huge field here. There must be thousands of pumpkins in here.
There's several pumpkins out here.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it sure is. Very time consuming.
Here's a pretty well ripe one right here.
Yeah, this pumpkin is it's ready. I always look at the stem here, leave as much stem as possible, cut that thing off. There's the prize.
There it is. I'm ready to carve that baby up.
Yeah, here you go.
Now, now this is good for carrying, but what you say this for decoration, and it's also helps the pumpkin last longer?
Helps preserve the pumpkin too. When you go to buy a pumpkin, if it doesn't have a stem, I would recommend leaving it alone.
Okay, that's where the rot and stuff's going to start in.
Well, yeah, you know, it lets moisture in here. You know, a lot of times if the stems broke off, that pumpkin is bad.
Inside. How do you know if a pumpkin's ripe or not?
Well, this pumpkin here, it's got just a little green on it. I would wait a day or two actually before I cut a bunch like this, but this pumpkin is very near ripe. We'll get rid of a lot of this green. We'll still have just a little bit of green in here when we cut that.
Okay, but you want to wait till it gets ripe to cut it, right? You don't want to cut it and hope it turns ripe later?
Exactly, we do not.
Okay, you lose a lot of the sugars and stuff in there. Oh my, you've got a bunch. You got some big ones in here.
Oh yeah, there's good sized pumpkins in here. Take 2 or 3.
It's gonna take you a couple of days to come in here with a wagon and
two or three cuttings in here.
Yeah, I see some of them are even small. And I talked to you about earlier about the blossoms. And with all these pumpkins, you've got to have a bunch of blossoms.
Sure.
Yeah, but you've never explored that avenue of pumpkin blossoms.
No.
That's a delicacy. I may have to come out here sometime later on in the week.
Come on out.
They dip them in batter and they fry them. I see them on the Food Network TV show all the time. That it's really a delicacy. Yeah, you might even get more for them than the pumpkins. No.
Yeah, but look, maybe worth a shot.
Yeah, take a chance. Now, how long? Tell me about when did you plant these? You plant these by seeds, right? And
yes, we planted this. This is no-till pumpkins. We planted these the latter part of June, and from there, this is what you've got.
Okay, so there's no-till, so you just there's no weeding to it or anything like that.
With no-till, we have no way to cultivate, and when we rely on herbicide. Grass is kind of a problem this year, and that goes with wet weather. And but we can control grass.
Pumpkins are a long season. The ones I grew myself, I don't grow many now, but were like 100-day pumpkins.
Yeah, 100, 110-day pumpkins, most varieties.
That's a lot longer than most crops. There's not very many crops that are that long. Well, your mums are only 3. Corn's what, 60, 80 days?
Yeah, corn's a little longer, yeah.
This is one of the longer crops. What's the difference between a pumpkin and a squash? And maybe we could ask that later when we're up there at the barn looking at the squashes. But,
Okay.
But what do you think?
Okay. Well, pumpkin they are edible. They're more for decoration. Pumpkin will have a cavity inside the shell here full of seed, pulp, and the squash is...
Not edible?
Oh, squash is edible, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, gourds. I'm talking about gourds.
Gourds.
I meant to say gourds, yeah. Tammy,
Gourds
write that down. Gourds, not squash.
Gourds are not edible.
Yeah. Okay, well, we take this on up.
Sure.
I tell you what, Tammy, you need to buy some of these pumpkins before we leave, right? Okay.
I want one. I want to take one for free.
Wait a minute now. You got to make a living around here, right,
Yeah,
Pat?
really.
Okay, let's go on up to the barn and look at some of the other things you grow on the farm. Pat, looks like you've been busy here.
Yeah, we've picked a few pumpkins.
This has been an all-day deal for me.
These pumpkins are good this year. They've got a good color.
I was going to say they're really deep orange.
Yeah, stems are nice. Got a good weight. Lots of varieties. We got the squatty. Got some that's bigger.
And they ripen over a period of time, so you don't have to harvest them all at once.
Right,
Is that a
right.
good thing?
We'll make 2 or 3 pickings.
Yeah. And I see the price is reasonable on them.
Oh yeah.
Now, this is one kind of pumpkin.
Right. This is just
Are
your.
these
These
gourds,
are
squashes?
these are also pumpkins. This here is a Dixon's Field. This is the old-fashioned cow pumpkin.
huge?
Yeah, it's a
I couldn't pick that up hardly.
cooking pumpkin. This here is a Long Island cheese wheel. That's what that's called.
Cheese wheel.
Uh-huh.
So that these can all be made into pumpkin pies.
Sure, they're edible.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what this one's known for, the Dixon's Field.
It's better than a regular orange. I'd heard about that.
Cooks down well, so I'm told.
And no experience on pumpkin pies?
No experience.
You better
get it from a can.
Okay. And what about these? These aren't pumpkins, are they?
These are striped cushaws, or they used to call them sweet potato pumpkins. They've got a lot of flesh inside, not a big cavity.
The yellow one's the same thing? You just
Yeah, they're the same thing, just a different make. This
You
is
can
an
make a
orange stripe
pumpkin
and
pie
green
out of
stripe.
those?
Sure, that's what they tell me.
Oh my. And those are big too. Now, which is easiest to grow? They're all about the same, or some of them easier to grow?
Oh, one's no different than the other. They're
You don't see these that often when you're talking about pumpkin shows or making pumpkin pies. I know that I've been told that the orange ones aren't the best pumpkin pie
right,
makers.
right. If you're going to make a pumpkin, you probably ought to go with the Dixon's Field.
Okay. Let's go into the barn. I know you've got some gourds in there, and I keep bringing up gourds.
Right here.
These are my favorite. These are my favorite.
Very unique.
Every one of them is weird.
Yep, there's the wardage in here. We got the ones with the wings on them.
Drivers face all kinds of distractions.
Guys, stop playing now. 127 consecutive.
Before your wireless phone becomes one of them, stop. Drive safely. Keep your phone in easy reach and dial sensibly. In bad weather or traffic, call later and use a hands-free device. Remember, with wireless, safety is your call.
We didn't have much to give then. Thin crop left us with hardly enough apples to fill the stand. So when they showed up firing them mean looks around the place and staring us down on prices, well, I was angry. Didn't seem to bother my father, though. He let them set a fair price, too low, I thought. Then he did more than I would have done. He had me load another bushel of apples in their trunk. I learned later on that this family was in need. We did the right thing that day.
The greatest gift we give, it's in our heart, what we believe, the way we live.
Caring for others. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Okay, Pat, this is your barn where we have all kind of selection of different gourds and pumpkins and squash.
This is the little pumpkin orange and white stripe. This is another variety of orange and white stripe. This is called a hooligan.
Oh my! You got all that memorized, huh?
Yep. This here is a sugar baby. It's a very hard shelled pumpkin. Keep for a long time.
Just for decoration, basically.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
This is a pick-a-pie is what it's called. Small kids like these also got a very hard shell.
Well, I love this time of year. This is Halloween.
No, it is.
Thanksgiving.
Beautiful time of the year.
You grow corn too?
Yeah, we've got Indian corn here. We grow that ourselves.
Now, is that good to eat before?
No, it's not. It's probably not good to eat.
The Indians probably ate it back in the old days.
I'm sure they
Made
did.
flour out of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maize.
Yeah. And I notice over here, this is smaller.
Right, miniature Indian corn also.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a variety.
And did you say that's popcorn?
They tell me that it is edible. It is a miniature popcorn.
Tammy, you can put that in the microwave and see what it does, okay?
And
She'll eat anything, I'll tell you.
over here we have the cotton candy pumpkins.
These are pumpkins?
Yes, they are. That's a good
In all my
good
years
variety.
of master gardening, I've never seen a white pumpkin.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't think.
these are
No.
becoming very popular.
Is
Very
this
popular.
the albino type? Is that what
Yes, yes.
they? Okay. Somebody grew regular pumpkins, and all of a sudden there was one plant out there that had white pumpkins.
Yes.
That's how it all started. And what are these green things?
This is a birdhouse gourd. This is this year's crop. Very decorative. You can dry these in the spring, make a birdhouse out of them, paint them, crafts, good for crafts.
Gourds are getting to be a big thing.
Yes,
I'm
they
telling
are.
You.
It's
You go to almost any craft fair or something, there's some
Right.
people there, they're painting them and doing all kind of things with them. I mean, I've seen just about anything you can see, and they're expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
I've grown gourds by accident. And let's take a look at some of these over here.
Okay.
And people that do things with them, I mean, they want them. I mean, they'll pay for them.
This is a year-old gourd. This is a basket gourd. It hasn't been cleaned, but you can clean this with bleach.
You would look at that and think that's
Steel
not
wool.
valuable. But it is. Those
Right,
are,
this is a piece of art in the making.
here's one right here
And
you were
this,
showing me.
This here's an apple gourd.
I can tell. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks
Clean
like.
it,
Yeah.
paint this thing red, paint the stem brown. It looks
Like a huge
exactly
apple.
like a huge apple.
Yeah.
This here is a basket gourd that has been hollowed out, cleaned on the outside.
And that's what they used for baskets back in the
Sure
day.
it
like
was. They
Indians would
line
have
it and put eggs in it and corn, whatever.
And now people are starting to do that again.
Exactly. These are
Very valuable.
Yeah, they
That's
are.
a really thick
wall on this gourd.
wall. Yes, that's what I was saying.
It's a
That makes what
good-
makes it
good
more
crop
valuable for
this.
things like that. Yeah. 'Cause some of them are really thin.
This here is a different kind of pumpkin. This is called a bat wing. It actually resembles the edge of a bat's wings.
So they're not going to get
No,
orange. That's what they're going to
They're
look.
going to stay green and orange. These are wing gourds right here.
These are my favorite. These are my
Very,
favorite.
very unique.
Every
Nope.
one of them is weird.
Yeah, there's the wardage in here. We got the ones with the wings on them.
All different
very,
colors.
Very unique. There's a pretty gourd right
Yeah.
there.
Everybody ought to have at least 3 or 4 of these on the coffee
Sure,
table
sure.
during Thanksgiving
Good,
and
good conversation
family
piece.
reunion time, and then what? This is
This is a blue Hubbard. This is actually a squash.
it's almost blue, isn't it?
Yep, almost.
Now that's a squash,
Yes, it is.
so you can eat it.
Yes.
Maybe? Maybe?
Yes, it is edible.
Okay, now what about this one? This is you see these all the time. These are really are popular now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've even grown
Kids
these in my
love
garden.
these.
But these aren't a pumpkin, are they?
No, they're not edible. They're not edible. These
Not
are
edible?
more in the gourd family.
You wouldn't get much food out of them.
No,
if you
no,
cut
they're-
them open, it'd be
they're,
pretty small. Yeah.
For decorative
Yeah,
purposes only.
Tammy's a gourmet cook, and she probably has.
Found a way to cook those.
Yes.
Very good.
Now, what are you doing over here? This is, and I got to be careful because I put some of my stuff down in here. But this is. I
this-
remember my grandfather.
Yeah, this is a.
Had one of these in the barn, and we used to.
This is an old corn shelter. I just got it here as a conversation piece, and
I can just go ahead and. Oh my! But I'll tell you what, if you've ever, and we used to have chickens when I was a kid, we used to have to shell these by hand in a
Sure,
box, and
sure.
when you got done, your hands were bleeding
sore,
and everything
yeah.
else, and that didn't miss a kernel, did it?
no, sure didn't. It got
Yeah.
it clean.
Pat, on the way to the pansies, I noticed you got your purple martin houses, and you got gourds hanging there. That's kind of unusual now. It used to be a big thing back in the old days. So those are birdhouse gourds, right?
Right. We dried those gourds, drilled a 2 1/8 inch hole in it. They worked well for purple martins, and sometimes they work better than the houses themselves, and the birds feel more natural in them.
The hole in them is very critical. You said 2 1/8 inch, and that's the same way with blue bird houses and everything else. The holes have to be exactly this. That's the key, right?
Exactly. And then we drill holes in the bottom to let any moisture or water out.
How do you dry gourds? I've dried them certain ways. How do you do it?
There's no set method. We just leave them in the barn over the winter, let nature run its course.
You wait and pick them when they turn green, or what they start?
Yeah, we wait and pick them when they're mature in the field, and the vines start going back, and pick them. We'll keep them through the winter, kind of look them over, rotate them. Every now and then want to have a crack, and the drying process shows a lot of different things on the gourds. You know, they get
character.
oily,
Character,
moldy, and they're finally you've got a good dried gourd.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. I've just left them on a vine sometimes, and
Sure,
sometimes
you could
they'll
do that. You could do that.
Uh,
We always put ours inside, and
as long as that isn't sitting in a wet area where if it's touching the ground where it's wet, I think that'll be.
You know,
that's bad,
probably
but-
if it was up on some wood or something where that air can get all around it. and-
time in your garage or rafters, all
Sure,
those kind of things.
sure.
But I tell you what, if you take 10 of them, just let them do what they want to do. Usually, you get 9 of them are going to be good.
Yeah,
pretty easy. Yeah, okay. Let's get back to those pansies, okay, Pat? Pat, we couldn't leave without taking a look at this truckload of pansies right here, and I'm a pansy fan. I like Tammy and pansies. So
They go well together.
they go well together. You can't tell them apart sometimes. Very underrated plant. I mean, everybody talks about pansies in the fall and sometimes in the spring, but
yeah.
you're talking about bloom. This might be a 6-month bloomer.
Could be easily. I've seen pansies, the blooms peek through the snow, and very pretty in the winter. It's not uncommon for them to last till you're ready to plant spring flowers in your beds.
There'll be a huge bloomer in the fall, kind of make it pretty neat during the
Yeah,
winter.
they do well in the winter.
And in the summertime, man, I've seen them take off and fill up a whole
Oh,
spot.
yeah.
And what other plant can do that? You know, most plants don't even like that. You don't have hardly anything that blooms in the winter.
Exactly. The thing with pansies, though, they're cool weather plants, so you know, they're more of a fall, early spring type plant.
It starts
winter.
getting hot, you start replacing those with the petunias.
Exactly.
What have you.
Exactly.
But you see a lot of colleges and businesses use those for huge
Oh yeah.
plantings.
Yeah. Pansies are very decorative, pretty.
And almost every color. Are they hybrids? So they don't reseed or anything like that, probably. Once they go, you got to buy new ones every year.
Be best.
Yeah.
Be best.
It's, that may be something for breeders someday to get a perennial pansy. You'd have something then, wouldn't you?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe that's something we can think about at the Master Gardener meeting next week. Okay, well, you've got a great place here.
Okay,
and
thank you. Thanks for coming
At this
out.
time of year, it's just wonderful. This is my favorite time of the year. If it just didn't rain every day like it has been
Yeah.
for the last 2
I've
weeks.
had enough of rain.
Okay.
Enough rain.
Well, thanks, Pat.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks.
Along with all the other things we've seen today, flowers that normally don't do well during the summer have made a comeback. I'll bet a couple months ago these things really didn't look too good, but right now with all the rain and the cool weather, they're making a comeback. These are zinnias, and you'll notice that they've planted all different kinds, all different colors. There's different varieties. I mean, just about anything you can think of you can get with zinnias, and they're really a beautiful plant. Sometimes you got to be careful planting them in the front yard because they are disease prone. Sometimes they have a powdery mildew will get on the leaves. You can control that, but normally if you get powdery mildew on your zinnias, the best thing to do is pull them up because they're never going to look really pretty. These are wonderful. These are about as good as they get. You can get the miniatures with the blooms are just about half that size, and you can get them with the different petal arrangements. And like I said, for instance, look at this one. This one's got the flowers in the middle, and I'm supposed to know what all those things are, but I really don't. But that's even better. You can get the short ones, tall ones, and Tammy just chased off a butterfly a while ago. The monarch butterfly was on here. I was hoping to show it on TV. Butterflies are looking for stuff like this right now. I don't think hummingbirds go for the zinnias, but all the other bees, those type things, the pollinators, they all like zinnias. Like I said, they make good flower arrangements, and I hope they don't mind if I cut this off right here, but I just pulled that off. You don't have to cut it. You put about 4 or 5 of those in a vase, and how pretty can it get? Well, we're out of time. I'm gonna have to go again. Until next time, this is Bud Qualk, your host for Master Gardening and Good Gardening. And like Tammy says, you can reuse these at the outhouse, right?
That's what we keep them for.
Hold it by that.
Sure.
Yeah. That's okay. It's an outtake. It's got to be an outtake. Okay?